Hi, Fatma.
Hi, Trish. Very nice to see you.
There we go. I've just put that on speaker view. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm really, really excited to really have this conversation, have this interview, and really just share some of my journey with you and share some of my experiences with you. And I think maybe more importantly, share some of the reasons why I decided to, transition. I've sort of made three very big transitions in my life. And the first one really going from a corporate accountant, studying a degree, studying towards a profession, doing lots of professional development, working in a corporate environment, and transitioning out of that into a physical business about 12 years ago, because there were certain things going on with me in my professional environment. I just wasn't enjoying my profession. I was feeling very, very obligated to my profession. And it's interesting because it took me a long time to really work out that I just didn't have the personality for it. And I didn't have the qualities that were required for, and the characteristics required to be a professional accountant. It's interesting because we go through life programmed to accept certain conditions socially. We go through life taking on some of the expectations of our parents, our family, our upbringing.
So much.
And we take that on and we feel very, very committed to that. It's very important to receive our family's acceptance. It's very important to receive our parents' acceptance. It's very important to fit into a particular model. And that happens from a very, very young age. And sometimes we don't always feel comfortable in that model, or sometimes going down a path that's been mapped out for us. I was very challenged by that when I was a young girl in my teenage years. It was a big transition for me. Actually, this is another big thing for me, is having to emigrate from one country to another. I emigrated from England at a young age of 11, emigrated to Australia with my parents, my very young parents. And that was culturally a very big shock for me. You wouldn't think so. You think, well, you both countries speak English. Yeah. Both countries have very similar ways and means of living. Both countries have very much similar social ways. However, there is an underlying tone that is not the same. There are differences in social expectations of countries. And I was finding, as an 11-year-old girl coming to a new country, I found English culture a little bit more, what's the word? As an 11-year-old girl, I went from, I remember going into high school in Australia, and, I was wearing my long socks, and I was wearing my long uniform, and my school shoes, my black polished school shoes, was very proud of my uniform. And I went to Australia, and the girls were, wearing very short socks, short skirts. Their hair was all out. And I was shocked, and I was very young and very impressionable. And I thought to myself, I was really scared, and I felt really, really intimidated, because I went from one school to another school in a completely different country where they have different social expectations. And that was very scary for me. And what happened as a result of that was I was rebellious. So come about 15 years of age, I started to rebel against my parents' wishes, my parents' expectations. I started to rebel against a system of rules that were requiring a certain expectation out of you. I was rebelling against that. And I was also not sure where I belonged. It was interesting. I reflect on moving from like a group of friends to a group of friends to another group of friends. I got along with them all. However, I'd never, ever really belonged. And I think that's an indication of coming from one country to another. It's a very big transition.
Yeah.
However, what it's given me is it's given me incredible qualities growing up. It's given me a sense of resourcefulness, a way to overcome certain things, the ability to get along with different people, the ability to embrace diversity a lot.
Yeah, diversity is a big deal. Yeah.
It's huge to be very inclusive, and it's empowered me to be able to be a lot more adventurous and a little more of taking risks. So I think it's really defined a lot of my qualities. That risk my parents took at a very young age of going from one country to another, halfway across the world with no family.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's really big. And I know there are a lot of migrants here in Australia. We are made up of a lot of migrants, and they have been, emigrating to this country since the 60s, 1950s, 1960s. And they're still emigrating. There's so many new immigrants, and I know and understand, especially when it's non-English speaking as well, how challenging and how difficult that can be.
Really?
So I'm going off a little bit on a tangent, Fatma.
You're speaking my story there.
Wow. It's powerful, isn't it?
It is. When you look at people, sometimes you think that there's absolutely nothing in common, but now you telling your story, oh my God, it's exactly the same.
Really?
Well, I migrated, but the language barrier definitely was a big deal. When we came to the UK, I was 14. It was like going to the moon and living with aliens. It was exciting because it's a completely different place, and I like adventures. But it was really scary because I don't understand what people are saying. It was really scary. So you want to fit into people's conversations, and then you feel like, what are they saying? Can I fit in anywhere? It's really hard. Teachers are a lot easier because they speak slower and they use more clear language. But with the other children, with the accent, and it was so hard to fit in. But I wasn't. I do consider myself to be an introvert, but I really wanted to know. I was very adventurous. I wanted to understand what they were saying. I was actually sometimes writing what they were saying and how other children respond. And sometimes I would go home and guess and look it up in the dictionary. And okay, when you say this, you're supposed to answer like this. And it was wanting to know new cultures it was scary. But I really wanted to go for it. I was like, you know what? There's no way of going back. It's not my choice anymore. So I have to go forward. And I like to be adventurous. I just, it does give you, it makes you open up to that, you know what, there's possibilities. You don't have to go through the path that your parents went through or their parents went through. Or I'm not rebellious. I like to follow the rules, but sometimes if there's a way of twisting the rules or bending them, I'll go for it.
That's awesome. Isn't that interesting how you said that you are more introverted, however you're very, very adventurous? It's like two different things. Would you agree?
I do.
Things. Because I think that when I emigrated to Australia, I felt very introverted. I felt very inward. I felt very shy. I felt very quiet.
You feel safer when you're backwards and in your cocoon. And
socially, I felt like I didn't have anything to offer.
That's so true. Personally, I'm talking about myself. You feel like I have nothing to add. I might as well just observe.
That's very interesting, isn't it? And I'm wondering, because you were 14, I was 11. It's such a huge impact on your life. And it's at that age, it's very big. And I think what the adventurous, I think this has evolved out of the fact that you have done that and the fact that I have done that as well. It gives you this very adventurous wanting to take a little more risk, willing to step out. Even though we might be shy or introverted, it still has given us that wanting to step out and wanting to be more and see more and show more. I think that's what it gives you. It's very powerful.
It is. It's scary as well. I feel scared now.
We have more in common than, because what did you say to me actually before this conversation started? We have very different lives, you said to me.
Completely. Well, at least 12 hours in difference. I mean, look at you, you're in the daytime and I'm in the midnight and here in the UK. So it's completely different.
In different countries around the world. However, what we've just discovered now is I was actually born in England, a country now that you've taken as your country and you've grown up in. That was my country, and now I've traveled halfway the world to another country, and you came from another country to go to England.
Yes, indeed, yes.
And I think it's defined who we are.
Yes, indeed, that is so true. And now when you say this, I can understand how much you loved it when you came to the UK, and you spoke about it for quite a few days after you went back to Australia. I'm thinking she couldn't have enjoyed it so much. But I guess you can relate to your roots, maybe.
I think you're right. I think that's absolutely what's happened. I felt very comfortable. I felt very at home. I connected to the accents. See, I think at a subconscious level, you grew up with those accents, you grew up with those conversations, you grew up with those type of personalities for my first 11 years.
I guess it sometimes it's just the back of your mind is bringing it's unconsciously you relate to such experiences or to accents or to lifestyles, and it just, I don't know, maybe some comfort. One of the things that really struck me when I watched your videos back in London was how you enjoyed the snow. I can't not mention that, of course. And I remember watching you in the videos. That was so it's the first in the SFM we say very authentic. You looked like a small girl who's experiencing something for the first time, and you were so open about it. You were not acting like an adult who's like trying to be reserved and everything. You were just enjoying the experience. I'm like, how can she be enjoying the snow?
And that's so funny. That's really funny, Fatma, because and I remember you posting something, well, I've just slipped over in it and I've run back in it and I'm just trying to get the children to school, and you know what, it was so funny because the next day we got stuck in the snow, in the traffic, in a road, trying to get up a road.
Well, you experienced the truth of the snow.
I experienced the truth of the snow, and actually trying to get around and move around England when it's snowing is such a struggle. It really is. And so the realities sometimes don't always correspond with the beautiful picture that we thought we saw initially. Actually, there's a great message in that. There is an awesome message in that, is that sometimes things are just presented to you, and in your immediate moment you just embrace and you look at it from a perspective, like a childlike perspective, exactly what you just said then. You embrace it. I think even going on this journey of an online business, in those really early moments, how excited are you?
Very, very excited. Very. Feel like you're a little kid in a candy store. You just want to get it all.
And the ideas just come, and they come too quick for you because you can't keep up with the ideas, because that's passion, that's excitement, that's energy flowing. And that experience in the snow is a little bit like that. It's a little bit like being a child and looking at what you have around you and saying how beautiful this is, because I've never ever experienced anything like anything that I can remember. It would have done when I was small.
Personally, when I first moved to the UK, I remember building the snowman and being really happy and excited about it. But now I just have to function, so that's why snow is in the way. I don't like it.
Yes, And you know what? 24 hours later, I didn't like being stuck in the snow. So very quickly, my excitement and my childlike behavior ended up not being so excited and shy, more fear. This is very
it's the reality of it,
right? Fear started to come in because we were in a car. We were going up the road to head towards the mansion at Ascot, where we were doing the leadership program. So we were coming up the street, and it was on a bit of a slope. There was a truck in front of us, and then there was a couple of four-wheel drives behind us. And we started to go up. We had to stop the car because the truck was starting to spin its wheels. And starting to spin its wheels. And we had to give distance, because then the fear started to come in a little bit, the doubt and the fear. The next thing is he was starting to slide across. And we were going to overtake, but then we thought, you know what? No, because if we overtake, he keeps going like this, then it will damage the car.
Definitely,
and so we stayed back in the snow. And then as a result of stopping, we couldn't get going again.
Yeah, so you get stuck in the snow. It's hard to get back into momentum. It is,
It's a bit like our business sometimes, right? I'm just thinking of this. Sometimes, because I remember you reached out once and said something about feeling stuck.
I remember on the videos, yes.
And I remember that. And I think that when you think about that analogy, like you're excited, you're taking on this new venture, the snow's falling, it's just looking beautiful and pretty, and just walking around, and it just felt sublime. And then 24 hours later, you're going into doubt. You get stuck.
That's beautiful.
You get fear, right? And these things come up for you, and it does. And that's with any business that you run or create or develop. As a business owner, there are so many moments where it's not fun anymore. There's doubt, there's fear, there's procrastination as a result of that. There's this feeling of being stuck. And I know that one of your questions were, and you're most probably getting asked that question as well, how do you overcome those moments of being stuck? And it's about being inspired again. So I think I mentioned to you about delving back into the training and finding something that really inspires those ideas and generates those possibilities. And so going back to the snow analogy, it's about going back to that childlike behavior and appreciating and having fun in the snow. Because after we had stopped the car and realized we could not move any further, we're thinking to ourselves, well, what do we do next? What are we going to do? And then I suggested, well, you're very close to the curb. How about you just roll back to the curb, park the car, and then we'll walk. And then we'll walk in the snow, and we'll come back a little bit later and pick up the car once it melts. Great idea.
Indeed, yeah.
Great idea.
No, walking is much better than driving.
That's it. So that's what we did. This is a great analogy, Fatma, for anyone's business. So it was a problem. We found the solution. We pulled over to the curb. We got out and we started to walk. And I said, how far is it? It was only 2 doors up.
Oh, sometimes, that's subhanAllah, that's so amazing, because sometimes the solution is really simple and it's so straightforward and it's right under your nose, and you just think about things in a complicated way. Just like relaxing, like you said, and going back to being inspired again, and then you realize the answer right there in front of you. It's so sometimes much simpler than you think it is.
It's incredible. 2 doors up. So we walked up 2 doors after all the panic and fear and doubt and being stuck. All of a sudden, within half an hour, we're out the car, we're walking up to the house, and then they decided then to go back and push the car up the hill.
Oh my God.
It required a little bit more momentum. It required
more manpower as well. Yeah.
More manpower. That's it. And that's what we do in this business is all about that, because it requires manpower and a community of people to get you over those really big hurdles sometimes. And like I've experienced this week, you know, a really big hurdle has been a complete business restructure.
Indeed,
And
yeah. Reaching out when you have hurdles is very important as well. And I personally have an issue with that. I always think, no, I'm going to look for a video to do it myself, and I'm going to I just need more time to do it. And sometimes reaching out and getting help, you just do it in an instant. You don't need, you shouldn't delay yourself. Just ask for help. I mean, the only thing that is stopping you from getting help is really asking for it.
That's so true. That is so true. Are we programmed to ask for help? No.
No, it's all going to do it yourself.
Go and find the solution. Off you go. Research, find, it will come. Just work it out. Work out the problem. Work it out, and stay in that problem for as long as it takes until the solution arrives.
Yeah, when you ask for help, you're usually like, you know, blamed or accused of being lazy or just trying to find a quick fix or whatever. We're never really encouraged to ask for help, and asking for help sometimes is really that thing that will actually move you forward. It's a very important thing.
It's been a huge part of my journey. The second phase of my journey was moving out of being a corporate accountant and into a business owner. And I always had a love for real estate, from a very young age. And I decided there was a lot of people listening to this would have heard of GFC, the global financial crisis. And when in America, a lot of things were going upside down. People were upside down with their mortgages, and there was a lot of issues there. And out of that adversity, there was a lot of opportunity that was presenting itself. And this is a very important thing too. A lot of people sometimes are programmed to see the adversity but not see the opposite, not to see the opportunity or the possibility out of the adversity. And I started to identify opportunities within that market. It took a whole big process to do that. It was finding mentors, finding coaches, finding people that were doing what I really wanted to do, and finding a network. So I got involved with another very big community of people that, you know, were doing what I really wanted to do. And that's what helped me for the next 10 years to build what's called a real estate investment consulting business. And that went for 10 years. And that was my very big learning and education on being an entrepreneur, being self-employed, being a business owner, and really knowing what it takes to get through, again, some of those obstacles and hurdles that we just talked about before. You know, being a business owner is a big thing, especially if you're making a transition from
the mindset from having a job to being your own boss. I think it's just a completely different world, a completely different way of thinking.
It is, and it's. I think it's the training and reading books. I think my journey really started with reading one book, and that book was just incredible. You Were Born Rich, Bob Proctor. I'll share it on this because people will wonder which book that was. You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor was a very powerful book for me, and I was shocked when I read it. I was really shocked. I thought, I've never been taught this. I've never been taught this.
I've had a degree. No one said that to me.
I know. No one's ever shared that with me. No one. Yeah, you're right. You go through a degree, you go through college, you go through university, you go through life, and then all of a sudden one book is like this key that just unlocks a door into a whole new world, a whole new philosophy of thinking and operating your life. Very powerful. It really was. And that was the beginning of something pretty special. Turn
the key on.
Sorry?
You just turn the key on.
And then open that door, and it can open so easily sometimes. It really can. Yeah. The transition from then, once I realized that I loved real estate. However, what I was finding, even though I got the freedom and the flexibility that I so really, really wanted, I was really being stressed out. And I think this could be coming back to my shy, like people say you're really confident. However, there is a shyness about me. There is an inner shyness. There is an inner introvert. I'm not completely out there or comfortable in a lot of situations. And I wasn't comfortable with dealing with investors. I wasn't really comfortable dealing with people that were very much driven by an ROI, meaning a return on investment. I wasn't comfortable with being driven by money and money only. I wasn't, and I was attracting, I think the real estate market can attract people that are really just interested in the numbers and the money
When
and the
you
return.
think business, you think money,
Yep. And not people. And I always say this, real estate's very transactional. It's a very transactional process. Whereas developing the online business that we have is so different. It's people. It's putting people first and profits after. Profits are important. Cash flow is important. Money is important. It's the lifeblood of any business. However, it's a bit of a means to be able to do your passion, to do your love, to what you love doing. So I had an email this morning and she said to me that I thought that I wanted to do an online business, but I really don't think an online business is for me. And I actually responded to her and said, you know, it's not the online business that drives me. It's not the online business that gives me passion. It's the online business that allows me to live my purpose every single day.
That is spot on. That is what it is. Yes.
It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to allow you to live your passion and your purpose every single day. And that can be anything. It can be anything from gardening to, you know, raising your children and grandchildren, to
like
traveling.
Ross spoke about polishing the cars, polishing the racing cars. He said, I just find passion into that every now and then.
That's it. And he, you know, he's built multiple 6, 7, 8-figure businesses. I mean, he is phenomenal, and he understands that your online business is just the vehicle to get you to doing your passion and your purpose.
Okay.
And
it's so funny because I don't know if it's the right word, but when we go to use a computer or something, it's usually we feel like we can hide behind the screen. It's not really real. We always call it's a virtual world. But it's so funny that in your offline business, it's not really about people and connection. It's really about the money and the transactions. But in our business, an online business, although we are actually behind the screens, but the connection between the humans, it's so big. This is actually where the passion is. This is how we can actually drive each other forward, and we actually move as a mass group rather than just, you know, I'm competing against you and you're competing against me. We're actually there's enough space for both of us, and when I succeed, it's your success as well, and vice versa as well. This is just I personally never thought it's like that, but you know what? I'm glad I came in. I'm glad I joined. I'm so glad I did.
It's wonderful. It's awesome. And it is that mass movement of people that are working for each other rather than working for themselves. It makes such a difference in this whole process. We're not in competition with each other. And to be honest, I don't even think we're in competition outside. In other words, we're not in competition of other competitors, because the internet digital world is huge.
Yeah, you're talking about 3 billion people using the internet. So this I don't have to compete with anyone other than compete with myself yesterday and myself the day before that. And have I grown or made any difference in my life and other people's lives or not? I don't have to compete with other members at all. There's no competition whatsoever.
It's huge, Fatma. It's incredible. And I think that what highlights that more than anything is that very small tactical exercise that Stu did on stage in Momentum Day, where he shared some keyword areas that was so powerful for me, because sometimes you think you've got to find a huge market, a huge target market. You've got to have this fantastic video that's going to really target this huge area to have $1 million business.
Yeah.
He showed and highlighted very easy and tactically how you can find what he calls a vein of gold.
Yeah, that was so amazing. That I don't know, I just feel speechless about it.
It's awesome, isn't it? I mean, the keywords, you know, it's, if you know what people are searching for, and with our tools that we have with DBL now, you can do a very simple keyword research and find what's called long tail keywords. So something that's not just online business or lifestyle business. If you add 3, 4, or 5 more words to that sentence, and then you start to search and you find areas that there is very low competition, it's incredible the impact that you could have on these veins of gold. And once you tap into those veins of gold, you could have one campaign that could be just hugely successful. I mean, he's earned 6 and 7 figures off one campaign alone.
Yeah.
So I think that it's so powerful. I was on another note last night, my daughter's friend emailed me because he said he's got a MacBook that he wants to sell. It's only a year old. And he thought I might be interested. And I said, yeah, I could be interested. I'll let you know tomorrow. Just send me some details. And he said, I want to start my own business. Now, he's a young 22-year-old man, and he has been a bit lost. He's done a university degree. He's come out of that, and he's working in the same job that he worked before he did his degree.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Right? You think of 4 years, and he was like a bit of a sales, customer service on the floor for an electronics store.
Yeah.
And he's gone back to really doing the same thing, even though he's done an IT and communications degree.
Okay.
So interesting. He's never really felt that he's fit into like an employee mold. And I've always sensed that with him. I've always felt like as they've grown up, I've sort of seen that he's a little bit more out of the box.
He's an entrepreneur. He's not an employee.
For sure. You can see it. You can see that he's always thinking of ideas. He started off in school doing a phone repair business, like repairing kids' phones, when they break their iPhone screens.
Yeah.
So he did business cards at school, right? So there was always something. And I said to him last night, and you have to be a little bit careful because you don't want to feel like you don't have to sell to your neighbors, or you don't have to sell to your family. You don't have to do that, because the world is out there and people come to you that want what you have. That I had to say it in such a way, look, I do have something that you could start off your own social media agency with.
Yeah.
You could, because he responded and he says, I want to do branding and marketing. That's what I would really love to do for small businesses. And I went, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, he needs to come on board.
Exactly. And I said to him, I've got something that I think that you'd be interested in. And you could start your own social media agency. You could start building websites for your local businesses here. And you could even sell other people's products and services.
Yeah, an affiliate.
How powerful is that?
Yeah, that is just amazing. Other people might think about this as, oh, he's a potential customer. You just think about the money you're going to make and the commission. But the deep thing is, and I have an article about this, a blog in Digital Bloggers, is you feel like you've really rescued him out of the pit hole he was in. He was so stuck, and you've just opened doors for him. That feeling of this is your purpose in life, isn't it?
That's exactly.
You've rescued somebody from feeling so stuck, and he seems, like you said, so much potential. He's such a smart person.
Yes.
It's a shame that he goes back to the same job before he had the degree. I mean, waste of time, waste of resources, waste of everything. And if he wants to go back, why did he have a degree from the first place?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it's funny because I'll just open this this text message up actually, because it was quite interesting last night. As the conversation unfolded, I got to know a little bit more about him. And he said to me, just need to learn the best ways to do everything, which will take a bit of time. Unfortunately, I didn't learn as much as I'd have hoped from uni.
You never learn as much as you want from uni.
Isn't that, I mean, this is just, he's a young 22-year-old man. And he said, I really want to just set up computers and stuff, mainly focusing on businesses, but then introducing marketing and branding and that sort of thing using technology to improve businesses. When I heard that, I just thought, I have something so perfect for him.
Exactly.
It was incredible. Then he said, when I introduced it to him, I said, oh, he said, okay, awesome. I think I would be decent with most social media aspects at this point in terms of actually building a website without using a builder online and what to charge, and I wouldn't know where to start. DBL gives him everything.
Yeah,
everything. It's just a
especially now the new update. It's just the perfect thing, isn't it?
How incredible. And then he said, he went on and said, realistically, my original goal was to make a content creation company where eventually I'd have individual employees focusing on different areas around digital media marketing, from logos and graphic design through to email marketing, YouTube and things like that. I personally like editing video, mainly though. And I said,
he's such a good fit for the business program. He's such a good fit.
Isn't he? He's just awesome. And I think that he would see a lot of incredible benefits. And sometimes that can be a challenge because you see so much more yourself. Like you and I are in this, we know what we're doing. We know, well, we know what we're doing, where we're at, and there's always more to learn. Always more to learn. And we're creating a successful online business. It's sometimes very hard to hold back without dumping everything onto them, and because we're so passionate and so excited about what we have in our hands. You know,
we really want to share it with everyone, but Mark Hayes in one of the webinars once speaking about it, he says when you have somebody who you think might benefit from this, don't spew everything all over them. Just let them take their time and their space. And like, it's so hard. You feel like you really want to rescue them and you want to dump them into it so that they can do something different, but you just have to be patient.
You have to hold back, don't you? You have to hold back because we're so excited and passionate and we just want to share it and just make
because especially in this case, you think, he's definitely asking to be an SFM member and a DAA member. Definitely, this is just the right thing for him. And I think DBL, the new, especially the upgraded one, I think it's going to be just perfect for what he wants to do. So why hold back?
I know. And there's so many people. I'm thinking, wow, Beck would love this. And I'm thinking, I would just love a conversation with Beck. So she wanted to build websites for local businesses. It's just the best tool to create and develop your own home-based business.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an affiliate marketer, even though affiliate model is a much better, quicker way to generate income without having to do your whole business.
Yeah, right? But the idea of earn while you learn, I think this is just an awesome opportunity that SFM is giving to the members. It's an awesome thing, really. I like it so much because you don't have to reach the guru stage to be able to earn money. You can just earn as you're learning, basically, as you keep tweaking your campaigns and you keep filtering them and sorting them out and optimizing and all these techniques, and still generating an income so that you can actually invest back and grow.
That's it. That's what it's all about, Fatma, and grow. I love the way you put that in at the end, because that's what it's all about, right? To grow.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. I've been doing this for how long now? 2 years. The first year was taking my business online. That was quite a process, but I really, really did enjoy that. It was all about looking at what I'd done for the last 10 years and parceling it up into what you would call a training package. So all my knowledge that I'd gathered, all of my skills, all of my experience, all the stories that I had to share, everything was parceled up into a video training package that I then put online and then put out there to a global audience, to countries that would want that learning and education around real estate investment consulting business. Mm-hmm. And I literally did it with a tripod in my lounge room with a video camera. It was a mix. It was a video camera, and then I'd swap it out with an iPhone. No special equipment. And I set up, and I called it the 7 steps to buying USA real estate. Okay. And I put it into a process, as I would when it comes to sourcing, buying, rehabbing, putting tenants into a property. And there was 14 foundational videos that came out of that. And I sell the product for $495. As opposed to sitting with what I used to do, it was all face-to-face, belly-to-belly conversations. What I used to do was book a consulting process with one person. I would charge $795, and I would have them for 3 hours, and I would dump all the information onto them. So 3 hours. They'd come out of that going, first, I mean, it was good for conversions, because they would, at the end of the 3 hours, they would say to themselves, I can't do that. That's too much. Trish will have to do that for me. And I used to say to everyone at the end, do you have any questions? And all of them would say, no.
Because it's quite a lot to take in 3 hours, especially if their experience in the past is very little and very limited. But I think when you have it online, and I can purchase it online and watch it in my own time and take it in and absorb it and digest it, that gives me the freedom to learn actually more. Because in 3 hours, if I can't really learn something you've experienced in the last 10 years of your life, how can I learn that so fast?
Exactly. And that's so true. And what was great about that process is what you said is spot on. You can revisit it. You can just take it in your own time. Some people absorb things straight away. Some people do not. I'm that person that does not. I do not.
I wouldn't, never, no.
I do not. And I have to write things down. And in that 3 hours, you don't even get that opportunity, really. And so what I provided them, I made a workbook. So I just made a workbook in Word and put some nice pictures in it and created this incredible workbook that accompanied the videos. So as they were going through, they would write down their questions, their doubts, their queries, their concerns, and they would bring that workbook then to a consultation, which was the next process. So they weren't getting me straight away. So what that does is it frees me up.
Yeah.
It adds an additional income stream to the business. I get educated investors that come through. They know a lot more, and we're just left to answer the questions they have.
You get to now like put them into momentum of moving on, rather than answering things that you probably did in the webinar already. There's no point in repeating it, because they have access to it on their own. They can just listen to it again and again to get it, and then you can just help them to move on.
It's such a valuable process. And I think for anyone that has a consulting business, or even a physical business, a physical service business, you could be educating people before they get to your surgery. You could be, educating people before they got to your service. It could be financial planning. It could be a chiropractic business. It could be any sort of business. And it's not just educating them, it's actually marketing and selling to them without selling. I think they call that, there's a word for that. It's sell and education together. You're educating your buyers and you're providing value to them before they get to you. Yeah. And you win a fan. You get a raving fan into your business, not just a client. That could go to the next competitor. You get a raving fan by providing so much value.
Yeah. I remember few months ago, because I wanted to, try and crack the online business before the SFM, and I bought quite a few courses. Um, uh, Not being able to contact somebody for the next step is really the reason I keep, like, I bought this course and now it doesn't work, and I bought that course and now it doesn't work. Not being able to interact with somebody, especially if it's something I've never done before and there's no one in my surrounding knows anything about it. So if I can't contact the person who made it, well, I think it's probably not the thing for me anyway. So if I think I had a consultation with the person straight away and then felt like it's not for me, I would have wasted my time, his time, the money, all the resources that are out there. But me going through the experience and tasting it, and then I could make a decision on, do I want to move on and consult them one-to-one, or do I think, no, this is just not the thing for me and maybe I want to move on. And I think I'm saving myself the time and saving them the time they could be investing it doing something else.
That's a great point. That's a brilliant point, because what doing that training package as well actually screens people. It actually qualifies people into your business as well. That's a really valuable point, because instead of them booking that appointment, paying for that consultation process, me spending 3 hours with them and then working out that they're not a good fit for real estate investment business, you've gone through all of that to realize they're not a good fit. However, if they go through all of that education, all of that training beforehand, they can work out pretty quickly, is this going to be a good fit for me? Is this going to be, because you reveal what you have to do too. You have to reveal exactly what I call it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because with every business, with every investment model, there is always the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think you have to be aware of those things and be honest and authentic enough to deliver those things. And that's why I had very, very good, qualified investors coming through with respect to them being educated, because everything was revealed, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's all about authenticity at the end of the day. And I think with what I had created, it was very authentic, and people trusted that. That's the other thing. The video allows you to build a relationship and build a friendship with them and build trust. By the time they get to you, they know you. It's a bit like our call today. We've connected, but not like this before. We've connected. And now this was really important for us to share our stories. Yeah. And it's like we know each other already, it's so powerful.
That is so true. The connection, I don't know, I always personally consider myself to be, I can get on by myself and I don't have to socialize and anything. And then when I start to socialize with people, I feel like, I feel so much safer and so much more comfortable. And you know what? I don't have a lot to add or a lot of value to give, but I can give hugs and cuddles. It's okay. I can listen.
You have... And you're raising another great point here. Do people have value to give? That's the big question. Do people have value to give? Because we all think, I don't know what value do I have to give? What value can I provide? A lot of inquiries I get for an online business, they say, well, I don't really know. I'm an accountant. I don't want to be an accountant. So what product or service can I provide? What value can I provide to people? There's a huge amount of value that you can provide in your story, in your experiences that you bring to the table, in certain aspects of your professional career. You can bring certain aspects, only the things or the pieces that you really like to do. There are so many things. You can then think about, well, what other products and services do I love, do I use, that I can promote and market online as well?
Yeah. You can basically, when you share your story, you realize you do have value to provide. And you know what? We all have experiences that we're experts in. And when we share how we handled certain circumstances and experiences, that's value. That's it. That we're providing value there. I don't have to be the guru to be able to actually provide value to people. If I'm just one step ahead of somebody, and I can pull them towards me, well, there we go. I help somebody. That's it. I don't have to be all the way the 7-figure business owner yet to be able to help anybody. I can help them even wherever I am now.
You can, because you are building a very successful online business, and you can absolutely bring people along, people that are first making that commitment and they're scared and they've got fear and they're unsure and they don't know how to make that decision. You've already done it.
Yeah, and it's very recent as well. I mean, in my case, it's very recent, so I can definitely relate to the idea of being fearful and being scared, or should I do it? Maybe not. You know, like the application for the SFM, it's quite hard. I remember when I decided I want to go for it, and writing down why do you want to go for it and what do you want to do. And I remember writing all those dreams. I'm like, oh my God, I should have written that long time ago. I know what I want. Why isn't it in front of my face so that I remind myself of it? And after I wrote it down and submitted it, I was like, this is the thing for me. If they help me achieve this, I'm not going out.
See, how wonderful is that? That's just so wonderful.
It's scary. It's scary to face your desires and your dreams. But when you put them in front of you and you think, you know what, these are things I can achieve. Other people have achieved them. Why can't I do it?
That's it. And what's fascinating, what's awesome about that is I remember Stu saying that people don't dream anymore.
Oh.
People are not dreaming anymore. And what we're here to do is to say to people, you can dream. Keep dreaming.
You're allowed to dream.
Continue to dream. And we stop dreaming at a very, very young age. And it's funny because we're parents too, right? We're parents and we teach our children to dream. We teach our children to dream.
I'm going to have to write this down because I'm a parent and I don't usually remind myself to tell my kids to actually, because when we have a dream, it actually wakes you up in the morning. You don't feel that you have to drag yourself out of bed in the morning. It wakes you up. I know all they have to do in the morning is they have to go to school, but they have to look to what that path is going to lead them to. I know my daughter wants to be a forensic scientist, and whenever she says, "Oh, science is so boring," I'm like, think about that. Think about that job that you want to do. You can't say science is boring, but that's your career. That's what you want to do. So remind my kids.
It's dreaming. And my daughter is a science teacher, high school teacher. Isn't that interesting? Oh. She's done science. She went 4 years to university to do science. And, you know, you're right. It's about how can I talk to them about their dreams, you know, forensic scientists, yes, but what sort of things, what sort of exciting, fun, interesting things are going to be attached to that particular path. And that's what's going to get them, that's what's going to drive them and get them out of bed and keep them on that journey.
My daughter, definitely, if she hears this conversation, she's going to love you so much because she hates maths and she hates English. I'm like, in the UK, if you want to move anywhere at university, you just have to do well in maths and English. You just have to. But for forensic science, she doesn't want to be a scientist in anything else. She wants this because there's a thrill behind it. There's the crimes and the investigation and everything.
Wow.
She's so into she wants the thrill behind it. She wants something exciting. She doesn't like the norm. She doesn't like the traditions. She just likes to experience something different.
Love that. So she wants to be outside the box. She wants to experience something really exciting and adventurous. You're seeing that's themes coming through this call quite a bit. The adventure of experience something very different and standing out a little bit. I think that it's nice to just stand out a little bit, and I think that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. I enjoy that, to be a little bit different. And so by her specifically saying a forensic scientist, she's sort of saying, I want to stand out. Like I want to stand out from the crowd. And I think that's really awesome. So it's about...
Before she used to say she wants to be a policewoman. And I'm like, I'm not going to say no, you're still too young anyway, but please, I know there's the excitement and everything, but it's still dangerous. It's a dangerous job. I don't want you to do it. And she was okay. And it took her quite a while to accept that. And then in the last couple of years, she's into she's doing a lot of research about forensic science and what does it require to go if you want to go to university, and what kind of jobs are there and what do they do. And I'm like, okay, I like that. And I like your point as well, Trish, when you said she wants to stand out. And yes, she does. She likes to stand out. She does. She likes to be the leader as well of her friends in the house. She likes to stand out. She doesn't like to just go with the flow.
No, I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that from her too. And it's because she's chosen a very specific niche career. And that's her saying, you know what, I'm standing out. You know what? I'm a leader. And she just has to look at her mum too. Like, you know, her mum is wanting to stand out. Her mum is wanting to be a leader. And so all of these things are reflecting on your children. Everything that's going on is reflecting on, they absorb everything. And it's, you know, there's no right or wrong way to parent. And I think the best way to parent is to just be that person. And they're watching, they're looking, they're observing, you start to hear them when they get older. If you're not in the room, they start to talk like you, which is very scary. But I think the message for us as parents is just to be that. And you are definitely being that, because you're really showing what it takes to be a successful businesswoman and a successful parent too. So
I hope so.
You're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. And you're doing amazing in this industry. And it's so new and so different and so exciting.
It is. The idea of leadership, personally, I've never really considered myself to be a leader. I think, you know, being safe and being in the back seat and just doing as told and everything. But I think in the last, let's say 2017 and now 2018, I don't know, I just don't want it anymore. I don't want to be led by other people. I just want to do things my way because, just because I wanted to, because other people's way sometimes it doesn't feel right to me. I don't feel like I can fit into that box that people put me into. And even my career, my job as an Islamic studies teacher, I chose it because there's loads of following into it. You just follow what people tell you and you just do it. There's no invention. And I always consider myself to be a non-innovator. I just like to follow. But you know, bringing the law of attraction into this. Last week, and we were having a seminar for the teachers to empower teachers and everything. And the first time I noticed one of the seminar, the coaches we've had, and she was talking about leadership. She was saying teachers are leaders, and I was looking at her and thinking, oh my God. I was like, I never thought of this. I feel like everywhere I go, people are pointing into, you know what, the world is talking to me. Are you going to be the leader or what? I knew the funniest thing, when I was walking out of that hall and I was passing by, there was a nursery nearby. I've never been to that area, that part of Manchester before. I did when I was using the GPS navigator, and I was looking, and there is actually a nursery. It's called Learn and Lead. I was like, oh my God. I can't say, I didn't get the message. I can't say that.
It's interesting how you're presented with signs all the time. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's just, you know, it's put there in front of me. I actually love that name. I love that. Learn and Lead.
And it's a nursery for people, you know, preschoolers, like 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. Wow. And I was like, wow, yes. to implant that kind of thinking into small children, that leadership, you should be learning so that you can become a leader. I think it's a really powerful way to raise children, rather than just follow whatever's going on and, you know, be a part of the crowd. And being a leader, teaching kids to be a leader, I think is a very powerful thing. I was, believe me, I stopped and I looked into that nursery sign. I was like, wow, It's been there for probably 50 years. I don't know, but I've never noticed it before.
That's interesting, isn't it? Now all of a sudden your levels of awareness are heightened, and you see all sorts of things around you that reflect your current journey. It's very powerful.
Yeah,
My daughter, in year 9 of high school, she was going through a rough time. Bullying was starting. Well, I think bullying has always been in school.
Yeah.
And she went through a bit of a rough time towards the end of her year 9. And I actually gave her a book, and it was called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And it's an old book, and I thought, she's not going to get through that. She's not going to read that. And she did. And it had such an impact on her. It had such a massive transformation in year 9. It was so helpful.
Wow.
And she learned things like listen to the other person, just listen, you don't have to speak. Things like just share people a smile as a gift of, and it just opens up, how to build rapport. Just find out if there's some sort of one little common interest that you both can come to, like a meeting of the minds with. Like, just find that one thing, and that's how you build rapport with someone. Listening, finding that one thing, and eye contact and smiling. So all of these basic things that are basic, but we forget even as adults to even do sometimes.
That's
right?
true. That is true. It's because we're not aware. We're not in the present moment. Sometimes I'm here, but I'm definitely thinking about something else. So my body language it says everything. And so that's why people become defensive against me, or, they respond in a way that I don't like. And that's bullying. People start to bully others because they probably are receiving the wrong messages.
Yes. That's it. And it was a great book. So I think that if you can, which you will inspire your children with the teachings and the methodology the personal development and growth that you're learning, it's going to directly impact your children as well, because they will get a lot from what you're learning as well, through observation.
Yeah, and I'm trying to slow down before, like, for example, if they get into trouble in school or they have a homework that they're quite late to hand in or something. Before, of course, I would just attack and shout and everything, but now I just have to control. And it's something I've learned from Just Evolve. It's and you just said it now. You said in the book, it's mentioned. It's listen before you start talking. Just let them say it, and then they will try to justify their bad deed, and then they will admit that it's wrong, and then they will say how they're going to fix it by themselves without even me pitching them or lecturing them or doing anything about it. Just let them talk themselves into it. I remember my kids used to say to me, "Oh, Mom, here you go, give me the lecture now." But now I'm like, you give me the lecture now. Okay, you tell me what happened and how are you going to fix it yourself. I'm not going to say anything, because you know what? My daughter's 14. Like you talked about your daughter, she's in year 9 now. I'm like, I think you're old enough to make good judgment of certain things. So I think you can make a good judgment on this. You're going to work on it by yourself and you're going to fix it. And I'm here if you need help, I'm here, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know what to do. That's
very empowering for her. That's very empowering. And you've instilled certain values, and she will always live by those values. And that's what's important. She will always come back to those values, and she will use those values as a filter for any decisions that she ever makes. You don't have to concern yourself with anything. You've instilled great values. And I know that children always go back to those values. I was not very pleasant when I was a young child. 15 and 16 were very troublesome years, and I ended up coming back to England for a year to find my roots again and just get away from the friends that were not good for me at the time. Coming back to England, I grew up very, very quickly. So I spent a year working and just finding out who I really was. And that was a very big thing. And then when I come back, you end up becoming like your parents a little bit, because you come back to those values. You just come back, you grow up, you mature, you you learn what's required for you to fit in life, and just sort of, do what you have to do. So it's it will always work out in the end, which is very valuable. Now, have I answered a lot of your questions, Fatma? I'll be very curious. You've written down some questions.
Well, you've answered most of them. It's just I wanted to ask you about your life before the SFM, your overview about yourself, and I think we know a lot about you now. It's quite empowering. It's quite I think it's quite courageous to be able to share yourself with people. I think I've learned that personally from you, to be honest, throw out your videos, your live videos, I watch a lot of your YouTube videos as well. And I think it's so powerful to be able to open up when you're feeling the highs and the lows. It's not sometimes even the highs sometimes are hard to share anyway. It's not always just the lows.
That's true. That's very true.
Why did you what business did you do before the SFM, and then why did you join the SFM? How much did you knew about digital marketing, and how long did it take you?
Nothing. I knew nothing, really, nothing about digital marketing. I was an accountant in a corporate office, and then I was doing real estate as a business. It didn't involve any digital marketing. So this is all new, and it's still very new, and I'm still learning lots.
Yeah, I remember I was going back to the emails you used to send me back before I finished my application and membership. And I remember I was reading one of the emails that talks about your how in this day and time we still have to the offline business involves filing your papers and going to the post office, and actually the physical part of this, and you have to sit down and wait. But in the digital world, probably it takes you probably a week or two, but in the digital world it's an instant. You can send the document right now, you can sign it right now, and it just goes immediately.
Yes, it's incredible. It's so powerful. I remember that video, actually. I had to send contracts, and I had to mail the contracts, and you had to wait for a week turnaround and then a week to come back. I remember that video. Yeah, it's very true. Yet online is instantaneous. It's incredible.
It is. The idea that time is so valuable. It teaches you that don't waste time waiting and sitting and doing things. You can do things straight away, and then you can just move on to the next thing. It's quite powerful. What is the best thing that happened to you in the SFM?
Oh, that's a great question.
You're going to have to think deep into this.
Yes.
There's loads of great things.
Yes. I think the number one would have to be the friendships that I've developed. It's the immediate thing that comes to the forefront, is the friendships that I have developed. Friendships from all around the world, from Europe, from America, from Canada, from many different parts of the world, New Zealand, Australia. It's so powerful. And to know that I can travel to London, and I know that I can travel to England now, and I can travel to any parts of the UK and meet up with people. I could travel on my own. I could turn up in England, and I know that I would have people to go out for dinner with, people to go out with, people to meet with, people to network with, and people, not just people that mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
That's very powerful. I think that's the highlight. Another highlight would be achieving the leadership program and mixing with people that like Stu and Jay and Justin Wolfe and all of those incredible leaders. To qualify for that was an incredible achievement.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of achieving that. It was awesome. And I would have to say that they are the real true highlights for me. And I think the other highlight would be my own personal development growth, which is one of my values. It's very high on my values list.
Yeah.
I have grown incredibly. My journey, I've just grown so much, and that ability to be more and more authentic and not worry so much about what people are thinking or saying.
Yeah.
as long as it's in alignment with who I am and my values. It's taught me to be able to speak out, be more authentic, and strip away those layers.
Yeah.
And we're all valuable. We are all individuals that have so much to give. My purpose is to be able to confidently identify the gifts and talents in others. And I live that every single day. I'm always looking for and highlighting to people their own gifts and talents that they can share with the world. And I think actually that has to be on the top of the list, is identifying my purpose.
Yeah.
That's sometimes very hard to find on your own. And this journey has allowed me to identify my purpose, because what has happened as a result of knowing that purpose, I filter everything through that.
Yeah.
I live my purpose every day. And my business decisions are based on that purpose. If they don't fit, if they're not in alignment with that purpose, they don't belong.
That is big. The alignment with your purpose, I think it's the most important thing.
It is.
How you feel, that's what wakes you up in the morning. That's what makes you, that carries on the passion. The passion keeps on going, although I'm sure there's loads of hurdles and loads of bumps in the path. But because the passion, you keep your eye, the passion's there in your heart, and you know you're fulfilling it. That's the biggest thing, I think, in the world.
It's the biggest, because it's not for the good times and just for the getting out of the bed, it's for the bad times.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
When you have like I've had a massive business restructure in the last week, I have filtered my decisions through my purpose.
Yeah.
And it's a guide for anyone to say, right, am I living my purpose today? How am I going to live my purpose today? How am I going to stand by my purpose today? And it's massive when it comes to the challenges and the hurdles and the obstacles. It's that filter for anyone.
It is. That's true. That is true. So thank you for sharing that. That is quite powerful. I need to get into that mindset as well. I'm learning, because it helps you make decisions, especially the tough ones. It helps you make decisions when are they aligned with your purpose or not. It makes decisions so much easier.
It does.
You're still running your real estate business, aren't you?
Correct.
Yeah. How can you? I mean, I know you have your daughter. So you have your house and you have your business, and then you have your online business. How do you manage all of that? And today we only have 24 hours a day.
There's a lot of juggling sometimes. I've slowed down. I'm not managing Australian investors anymore. That was very, very challenging. And with the banking was changing on a consistent basis. It was making it harder and harder for me to keep up with what they were requiring. And so that's overseas offshore investors. So I've stopped doing that, but I'm running my own personal real estate investment business now, because I want to transition. I'm transitioned. So it's always something that I love. It's something that I will always do. It's something that I still have to continue doing, because I have real estate and property over there. So it's something that I have to manage. Like I spent a week, it was a week full on before London, just doing all of the corporate returns, tax returns and corporate returns and compliance. And that was doing my head in. That's something that even though my background, I just don't even want to do it, but I did it. And that was a full week.
The worst thing about having a lot of money.
that's full on. So I had to do all of that before going to London. So it's still managed and it's still very active. I don't think it will ever really be passive or a passive income, because I'm actively involved in both businesses, real estate and the online business.
Yeah. Sometimes, no matter how much you go into the digital world, you really want to feel that there's something you can touch. There's the connection between you and your clients. You want that. You want that physical, the human contact. It's quite It makes it realistic.
I agree. I think the online business provides that, because now there's coaching that's, you know, really presented itself to me now. So coaching others, showing others how they too, you're becoming a coach, coaching others, showing them how they too can do what you're doing, to do what I'm doing. And that's what this business is all about. And this is what I love about it, is that connection with people. Yeah.
That's really nice. If like you've been through the journey, how long have you been with the SFM?
2 years.
Do you, like you spoke at the beginning about your real estate, and you said that you spoke about 10 years to grow your business and make it the way you hopefully want it to be, but to make such tremendous success online in only 2 years, I think this is just the beauty of the digital world, isn't it? The how fast things can go if you just put the effort and if you are dedicated to it, and if you're coachable. I think being able to sit down and say, I'm going to have to sit down and learn this, is a very important thing. But to scale up so much from not knowing anything or knowing very little about the internet, and becoming quite a big businesswoman on the internet, I think in only 2 years, that's quite fascinating, isn't it? I mean, what do you have to say to people who are skeptical of this? People who think, okay, it does exist, and maybe it could happen to other people, but I can't do it. It's not for me. I don't have the ability to do it.
And that's a great question. And that's a great statement too. I think that the digital economy, the internet, is with us forever. It's something that is really now, it's become an essential part of life, along with our electricity, along with our gas, along with everything that we use in a household now. Internet is now a priority. And so there is no escaping that. Retail sales have gone down, you know, they're constantly now. And I know that last year in this country, our retail sales declined at a record high. So there was a big reduction in people going out to a shop to physically buy a product. And there's an increase, a massive increase. We've had Amazon arrive in our country just recently. They've built a massive warehouse.
Okay.
So the internet is with us, regardless of whether people agree or not. Amazon, for example, you know, have created, see, there could be arguments both sides where people say, yeah, but Amazon's come and it's swallowed up all the small business owners, and, you know, it's unfair, it's not right. However, what people don't understand is that Amazon itself offers opportunities to small business owners now in the digital world, in the online world. Anyone can go to Amazon. You can create an affiliate program with them, an affiliate account, and you can go on there and you can see what it is that you use, that you like, that you would promote and that you would endorse. And you can go ahead and you can market and promote a product, many products, and you can earn a living from that process. So I think that the internet, the digital economy is with us. And so the ability to reskill yourselves, the day has gone where you sit in a job for 20, 30, 40 years. Those days are gone. Stability is gone. 50% of the jobs won't be around by 2040. So there's going to be massive shifts in industries. There's going to be massive disruption. Uber is one reflection of a massive disruption. Airbnb is another massive disruption to the hotel industry. There are some very big disruptors happening, and I think that we are part of that disruption. We are going to be part of that disruption. And like Stu says, affiliate marketing will be a profession. Will be a profession that is marketed and salaried. And so, you know, and to someone that thinks, no way, I don't have the digital skills, that freaks me out, I can't even think about that, that does my head in. That was me. That was me 2 years ago. And once you start to step by step, bite size by bite size, you start going through the training and you start learning, your creative side actually starts to come out, and you start to enjoy the process of putting a website together. You enjoy the process of putting a blog or an article together. You enjoy the process of putting a video together. Things you start to actually start to enjoy and think to yourself, how can I step this up a level? It takes time. It's like anything. A university degree it took me 4 years for my accounting degree. Yeah. It takes time. So I am so impressed that in the 2 years I've learnt what I have learnt. I've put it into practice. I've done it, and I'm earning revenue from it.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas a 4-year degree, half the stuff you never put into practice. It could even be more than that. Maybe, 2/3 of it you just don't even put into practice. You're learning, studying, it's all academic, and I don't know, I'm just really proud of where I've got to in 2 years, and it's literally I've earned while I've learned. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. So for anyone that's wanting to do this, they can, especially with people like you by their side, with people like me by their side. We are an incredible team, and we can teach anyone anything, right?
Yeah.
we
can bring them where we are. We can bring them. That's a few steps probably ahead of them. When you know the next step, it just makes it so much easier. This is the next step towards the dream that you want to achieve. This is just one small step at a time. You don't have to look at the 1,000 miles. Just take the first step and then the next step, and it makes it doable.
It's amazing what 3 minutes a day can do. If you do 3 minutes a day, 3 to 5 minutes a day, you've seen our YouTube channel. That was just 3 to 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
By the end of a year, you've got a library of content.
That is true.
It's very powerful.
It is. That's very true. And I think I think Stuart mentioned it in the Momentum Day when he spoke about when people say they don't want to go into the digital business, it's not for them. They can't do it. Skepticism is a big issue for a lot of people. I had that issue myself, but I remember FaceTime when it first launched. It was FaceTime as we knew it then. I don't even remember what it was like, but then they had the timeline, and I was one of those people who I didn't want the timeline. I was like, I don't like change, let's just be as it is. And then, well, you have to use the timeline because this is how Facebook wants it. So if you are a part of this world, you might as well join by choice rather than join forced.
Yes, that's a great point, and that's true. That's very true, because it's here. What do they say? The train is moving. You're either going to hop on or it's going anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's going anyway. It is very true. And why not build an incredible business where you have flexibility, time, freedom, options, choices, work at home, work from around the world, play with the children, have time with the children. It's very, very powerful.
Have quality time, because I've had time with my kids, but when you're like when I am next to the kids and I'm like, my daughter's trying to face my face like this because she has a story she wants to tell me, and I have to finish the report or complete the essay that I have to hand in to my boss and things like that, and I have to prepare for tomorrow's parents' evening, and that's not really spending time with your children, is it?
No,
because my kids have to turn my face like that because they want me to look at them. Quality time is the way it is. Yeah. That's why I moved in. That's why I joined the SFM. I call it moving in because I feel like it's like a new house for me. This is a new environment that I put myself into it, and I'm digesting it, and you know what? I'm enjoying it. I really am enjoying it.
That's amazing.
Well, we spoke, I think the whole conversation was about the community, because one of my questions was about it, and I think we shared a lot about the community. The community is what really holds us together, and it helps us, I think, in the lows mainly. The highs are good. You're going to share them, I think, anyway, but the lows, when you feel like you want to stay by yourself, and then you feel like if you want to reach out, people are definitely listening, and people are definitely going to support you, and you will definitely find somebody who can relate to you and who can tell you what your next step is to get out of where you are.
Yes, it's very powerful, and you will connect with. It's amazing how many of us are already connected and like-minded and really love each other. I think the big thing here is you will even find your group of people within the community that you know that you can depend on, or that you can know that you can ask questions of, or that you know that, you know, if you're feeling down or if you're not feeling so good that day, that they're going to be there for you and truly be there. This is not just talk or words on paper. This is truth. This is real truth. I shared a broadcast yesterday with my list. You might have seen it come through, and it said, "You are not alone." And the opening statement was, "You are not alone." And I've had a lot of feedback from that. People have actually commented and responded to that broadcast. And it talks about the dust storm when I was in Phoenix, Arizona last year. I was part of this dust storm that appeared from nowhere. And people were told to like bunker down and just to get inside and don't come out. Like, if you want to be there for the next 3 to 4 hours, that's where you have to be.
Yeah.
And it was the feelings that came around that dust storm, like that feeling of fear and confusion, because their messages were going around the resort and they like, what do we do? Like, we've got to go where? Like, everyone's asking questions. Everyone's starting to panic a little bit. And that's what can happen. It's a reality. It can happen in life. There are things going on with me in my own personal life that are causing confusion, and like you feel like a bit of a, you know, a dust in a storm. And it's all about knowing that you've got people around you that can help you when you're in that storm. So when you're bunkered down and when you're in cover, who have you got to sort of be by your side? And that's a very big thing. So many of us to go through life, we go through these dust storms all the time, and we don't have anyone to help us or to share with it, or, you know, it's frightening. It can be frightening. It can be scary. It can be fearful, and confusing.
We can be around so many people, even our loved ones, and sometimes we feel like we can't connect. They don't get it. They don't get us. They can't relate to what we're saying. Or sometimes our families, because maybe they're dependent on us, we don't want to burden them. Especially if, for example, if parents or children or like spouses, we don't want to burden them. We feel like we should do it all by ourselves. But but in our community, in the SFM, I think it's personally, sometimes I had the fear that no one's going to relate to my story. And then when I watch other people's videos, everybody has exactly the same story. Everybody's doing exactly the same thing. I'm like, I'm definitely not alone in this. And this is so empowering. It's so powerful. It's really powerful. I loved it. It's an experience. I don't want to go out, and I don't want to go back. I will never go back. I don't think ever.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can. There is no way that we can go back.
I don't want to go back. I don't even remember what it was like before, and it's only been 2 months. I don't even remember how was it like. How come? How did I deal with whatever I was struggling with without the community? I didn't have anyone to reach out to,
it's
and it
awesome.
was.
Awesome.
Isn't it?
It is. It is.
I'm sorry. The call was supposed to be only 30 minutes. I think we probably had 2 hours.
That's okay, and that's good. That's how it's meant to be, right? It's just brilliant. It was lovely talking to you and sharing all of this, because in that opportunity, you've got to know me more, and I've got to know you more. And I just wanted to say thank you for just taking that time with me. And I truly appreciate it. And this is what this business and this is what this community is all about, is the helping of others to get where they need to be, but more importantly, to get the message out. And I just want to thank you for just being on board with this and just, you know, being successful. It's brilliant. Thank you so much, Fatma.
Thank you so much for your time and for your mentorship, for your leadership. I've got you on my notifications on YouTube, on Facebook, and everything. I'm like, this woman does not go live without me watching.
I love London. That was awesome. Traveling around London, you were just like right on there. It's just so cool. wonderful. It was so.
It was, yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing all of that, and you made me feel like I was there in that mansion with you. I was there in all of the in the car when you were stuck in the snow, and it was really awesome.
That's very good. I'm going to the Dominican in 4 weeks. So
Yeah,
I'm going to do very much the same. So I'm going to be bringing you on that journey to the Dominican Republic, which is very exciting. And then 4 weeks after that, I head to the US. So again, I'll be doing exactly the same thing and bringing you on my journey there as well. So it's exciting times ahead, Fatma, and I'm so honored that you're part of that journey as well. I really am.
Oh, thank you. So warm. Thank you very much. Thank you. Big hugs to you. Thank you very much. It was very kind of you to spare your time for me. Thank you very much.